everybody. My name is Jaimie, and welcome to this awesome conversation that I am going to have with a very special guest, Rebecca of Lake Country Growers. We are going to dive in today to everything CBD, Delta 8, Delta 9, and hopefully answer a lot of your questions. And as Rebecca and I got prepared for our conversation today, we really illuminated a lot of generational questions and misinformation in a way that exists around the industry of CBD and hemp as a whole. So we are going to have this conversation. We're going to dive right in. And Rebecca, I'm going to turn the mic over to you. And why don't you just kick us off and share a little bit about you, your business, and we can go from there.
Well, hey, thanks for having me today, Jaimie. I really appreciate it. I'm excited to share a little bit more about, what I've learned in my journey of, being an entrepreneur and launching our CBD and, kind of wellness business, and just to really help people feel a little more confident using CBD products. Really, I think that's kind of the main goal for us, is really to help people like break that stigma and really understand that, it's a personal journey, and everybody's experience is going to be a little bit different, and that we're going to give you permission to go ahead and explore what that might look like.
Yes, I love that.
Yeah. So Lake Country Growers, we are a Wisconsin-based CBD company. We are out of kind of like Southeast Wisconsin and Economowoc area, and we're going into our 5th year in business. I can't believe it. It's going
It goes so fast, doesn't it?
It does. It feels like, we're just, we just started this thing. You're like, wait, we're going into our 5th year. What happened?
Yeah. Well, like I say, it goes fast when you're having fun. And that's the one thing, as you start sharing a little bit more about you, that has always caught my attention about you and your business partner and your brand as a whole, is it seems very fun. So it doesn't surprise me that the 5 years just whizzed by for you.
Yeah, it did. Yeah. And we do have a lot of fun. Yeah. You got to keep it fun, right?
Yes. Yes. Otherwise it gets boring. And especially, I think you have to keep it fun in the industry in which you're operating in. You have to keep it light because, as we were saying before, the conversation around CBD and cannabis and the whole industry can get really heavy really fast with a lot of opinions. So I think by keeping it fun and keeping it light is really how you help educate people on what it is that you're doing. Keep people open to learn is really what that is, I think. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially because if you are, I'm always smiling. I'm a happy person. You are too.
Yeah.
It's like they're a lot more willing to approach you with those deeper questions. They feel very comfortable asking, and that's what we want. We really want people to feel like you can ask us. We're not experts in every industry, but we're going to do the best we can to help guide you. And if we don't know the answer, we're going to try to point you to the right answer.
I love that. And that seems to really be the backbone of your business as a whole. And, why don't you tell us a little bit more? I know you do a lot of education now with your products, but how did it come to be? Why this industry? What motivates you to really educate on CBD as a whole in the industry?
Yeah. So I guess I got to take it way back. I guess it's almost been like, let's see, oh gosh, 5+ years ago. So I'll just kind of start at the very beginning for me. My family are farmers, and my parents are getting to the age where they're ready to kind of transition their farm into something new. My brother was a hemp activist. That's kind of like somebody who is very passionate about hemp, but doesn't get paid any money. So he sets on lots of boards and had done a bunch of different things. And my mom kind of kept nudging me like, hey, you should really check out what your brother's up to. I think that this is something you'd be interested in finding out more about. So I sat down with him and I kind of was like, all right, tell me what you're working on. Tell me why you're passionate about this. And it was more on the hemp feed side of it for animal feeds, and just kind of changing the laws, because we used to have hemp used to be legal back in the day. And then it became illegal as a scheduled.
Wait a minute. I have to interrupt. Did you say that you would use hemp for animal feed?
Yeah. So the hemp is this is a huge conversation. We'll never be able to cover all this today, but hemp can be used in a lot of different ways. There's hemp for fiber, which you've probably seen if you've done any research on hemp, like really tall, very skinny, almost looks like bamboo hemp. That's hemp for fiber. So it's a very tough fiber. It's used for canvas. It's used for clothing now. I think Nike even has a shoe line where they use hemp products. And that is hemp that's a little different variety than the ones that we use for getting CBD oil. The different plant, same part of the family, but just different varieties, so to speak.
Interesting.
And then there's hemp. You've maybe seen hemp hearts or hemp seed in your grocery store.
Yeah.
It's very high in protein. We actually use hemp seed oil for a base in a lot of our different products. So the hemp plant itself is very, very diverse, and it has a lot of different properties. So when I was having that conversation with my brother, he's very passionate about helping introduce it into for feed. And so like chicken feed and cow feed and stuff like that, kind of like as a substitute for corn and soybeans.
Mm-hmm.
So, that was where the initial conversation started happening. And then we started exploring like, well, tell me, explain it to me. How is it different than the hemp that you get for CBD oil? And this was about the time the Farm Bill was being, going to be passed. So December of 2018. And so, we were talking about it. And I kind of came home from that conversation and we were like, all right, well, what if we just grow a little bit of hemp and we'll kind of help see if that can maybe transition my parents' farm into something that's less acres needed and just a little bit more family friendly.
Yeah.
But also different and something my parents could get really behind. They're in their 70s, they're just ready for a change. I think. I'm trying to get them ready for a change. Old farmers really don't like to change.
Yeah.
Although my dad has always been pretty progressive. So, that's kind of where it started for me is I'm very passionate about, the earth and regenerative ag and, making good choices for the environment. And hemp is really, really restorative. It's very, very good for the environment. Which could be a whole nother topic. Maybe Earth Day or something.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how we got started. And I went home over Christmas break and I got together with my best friend and now my business partner, Maureen. And I just said, hey, you know what? I think this is something I'm going to do. I'm excited to just kind of try it. And, I'm very passionate about what CBD can do for people and for my family. And she like a light bulb. She like got so excited. She's like, well, I just have to tell you, like, if you're interested, I'm interested in being your partner.
Wow.
And I would love to do this with you. And so we're like, girls that love to have fun. We're like, yeah, we can totally do that. And her motive was a little bit different. She had her stepdad had been a lot of medical issues. So he had been to the point where he was kind of immobile and he was really needing to have some surgery done on his lower legs. He actually needed an amputation because he was losing so much blood flow from diabetes and just bad lifestyle from the cause of the pain. But he was not a candidate for surgery. So someone had suggested to him, hey, why don't you start using CBD products? And it kind of kickstarted this life journey for him where he was able to turn around and really change a lot of things. He ended up losing weight, like a lot of weight, like 70 pounds over a long period of time.
Wow.
But because it's that incremental changes that sometimes lead to massive change, right? So he was able to feel a little better. And because he felt a little better, he could now move more. And then because he could move more, now he had more circulation. And it was just like a positive snowball effect on his health. And she was like, if it can work for him, it can work for anybody. Kind of like,
oh my gosh, I love that. How long was he using, or what was he using CBD oil?
Yeah, so he was using CBD in a couple different ways. They live in Michigan, and I think someone was homemade making it for him, and so he's like, yeah, you should give this a try. And I think what happens is, people are, he's on a lot of opioids. He was in so much chronic pain that he basically was like living on the couch because he couldn't go upstairs. He was pretty much immobile. And so it's just one of those things that's like, it can have an effect on different people, different ways. And for him, she had witnessed this journey that he was going through. And she's like, wow, this is amazing. And I will tell you from the beginning of our business to the last time I saw him, I was like, wow, I cannot believe how much improved he has been.
That's amazing.
It was marked improvement. So it's just like, okay, it's like, this is someone we know he's using it and we're seeing his personal journey. So, and there's so many stories like that. I mean, they're all over the internet. It is hard because cannabis was illegal for so long, and hemp was illegal. So, you go back, 30, 40, 50 years, no one's been doing any research on it because it's been illegal. Right.
Right.
So other countries have been doing research. And so a lot of times when you personally are looking up like, okay, how much do I take? What do I do? Who do I trust? And all these questions, they kind of lead to vague answers. And part of it is because we don't have as much research as we could have because the researchers weren't allowed to research it.
Right.
So a lot of other studies are coming from foreign countries and stuff like that. But a lot of it is, my friend had this happen. This is what I experienced. They're firsthand stories of people that are having good experiences with CBD products.
Right.
So don't be frustrated if you're listening to this and you're like, I feel like I research all day long and I just keep ending up in like these kind of dead ends. I felt like that when we first got started. I'm like, why can't someone just tell us XYZ? Like, why is there no concrete answers? It was very frustrating. And that was part of the education we wanted to do, was to help people like find a trusted source that they could come to and ask those questions, and we'll do the best we can to answer them.
And with your business now being in 5 years and working with a multitude of people, and I'm sure having feedback, are you guys able to do any quantitative studies, or are you guys capturing some of that information as saying like, here's the proof in the pudding, and this is what our clients and customers have experienced?
Yeah. And, this is the craziest thing, for legality purposes, we have to be so careful because, there's stigma that it's a non-regulated industry, meaning it's not approved by the FDA. So the FDA hasn't come out and said, these are the things that you can do. But at the same time, we follow all of the things that the dietary supplement companies. I worked for an organic food company for about a decade, and they manufactured all of their own products. So I was kind of behind the scenes on all of that. So we use all of our good manufacturing practices that we learned at our last industry. We do a lot of other things that are above and beyond the standards of what people are doing. And we just try to always, keep the consumer in mind, right? Like we farm organically. We use all natural products.
I was going to ask you that if you used any like pesticides or anything like that on the crops. Okay.
No. And, with my passion really being in, agriculture, that was like the biggest thing, right? Like why would I want to spray these beautiful plants I've worked so hard to get and grow with pesticides? And I understand why people do, because farming is a very hard industry and you can lose your entire crop and your entire farm and everything because of pesticides or, plants that get out of control. So our practices where we, even had kids going and have you ever heard of walking beans? If there's any farm kids on this call, walking beans or rogging corn.
It's like ringing this distant bell, but yet I don't know what it is. What is it?
So basically, it's like you're pulling weeds, like you pull weeds in your garden, but you go out into the field and you are pulling weeds, and it's on a massive scale. So when we were kids, we used to walk the beans, the soybean plants, and we'd walk and we'd pull them out. So that's basically what we did with our hemp plants. We would get a group of kids, and you can find some more pictures of this on our website, but it was one of our favorite projects. Is we recruited kids that are usually too young to get regular jobs. Like you can't, get a job in a grocery store, I think until you're 14. But there's those like 6th, 7th, and 8th graders that want to help and they want to do something, those are the kids that want to go and mow lawns. Yeah. So we have some friends that are teachers and we said, hey, we're looking for some kids to come and help us out on the farm. And they're like, yes. So we get a group of kids. For every 5 kids we'd have one adult, and we have little groups and we just walk down the field and pull.
Oh my God, I want to walk the beans or whatever this is with my kids. I love that.
It was a lot easier when the plants were little, and then they got really big at the end of summer, and we're like, this is, oh my God. It's a massive undertaking, but don't worry. We took them swimming and out for ice cream when we were done, and they were all so happy. And, that is a thing that we call the farmly. We really want to impact our kids, and we want to make it okay. We want to break that stigma. Like, no, they're not doing anything wrong. This is pioneering agriculture. There's not a giant piece of equipment that's going to come in this field and do it. We're going to gather up our kids, our family and friends, and we're just going to go out and take care of these plants. That was really our approach.
I absolutely love that. And I was mentioning that to you a little bit too, where when you were talking about your business partner, Maureen's dad and his experience, and that has been my experience of how I ended up getting into using CBD is I had chronic pain, like really bad chronic pain and chronic fatigue. So I began exploring these products, and I'm so grateful I fell across your company a year or 2 years ago, however long it's been already, because your products have made a night and day difference. And now, because we've highlighted it a few times, that stigma that tends to exist around it. It's hard as a mom and having kids and finding something that makes me feel really good and increases my energy. And when the energy increased, I could do more and I felt better and I could think clearer. And there's all of this positive effect from these products. But then it's to go and share it with the world or other people around that don't understand that benefit or the industry as a whole. You hit this stigma where it makes it kind of scary, where it's like, oh my God, well, is it because I am a stoner, or I just enjoyed this, that, or the next thing? So what do you tell people in those stigmas or those stereotypes around this industry? How do you help break that? Are there any things you say to use to kind of help people see the industry different?
Yeah, I think, for us, initially in our branding, right? The very first thing when you come to our website is we want you just to see that we're just normal moms, right?
Yeah.
Like, we're just moms trying to find the best options for ourselves and for our kids and for our parents and grandparents. And we really just try to normalize it. Like, we're everyday people, our kids go to school, my kids went to Catholic elementary school. Like, I'm just a normal mom. I go to the gym, I go to the Y, I work out. Like, I'm not, what people per se is like, oh, a stoner, or if you use these products, you're going to end up on the streets and, living in a van down by the river,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. It's like, we're really just trying
Yeah.
to show like, this is just a normal part of your normal day life. No different than you taking your dietary supplement, your vitamin D or your vitamin, C and your calcium pill. Like, you're just trying to help yourself feel the best that you can. And just try to show that through all of our branding. Like, we make it very approachable. One of the things we've kind of done that maybe is a little passive that people haven't caught on to, but I always market to myself, right? So if it makes me uncomfortable, I think, okay, if that makes me uncomfortable, that's not something I want to share with my community, because if it makes me uncomfortable, then it would likely make my audience and the people that, are identifying with us also uncomfortable. So one of the things we didn't do in our marketing is we didn't put the hemp leaf on anything. You'll notice it is not on any of our products, even though it is our product, even though it's our number one thing that we do. It is
Yeah.
because I felt like when we were first starting, especially in the industry, all these new companies are coming to market, and you're like, oh, that scares me. I don't want to see a monkey with smoke rolling off its head and
Yes.
psychedelic colors. It
That's the
scares me.
stigma.
That's the stigma. That
Mhm.
scares me. How can we be the opposite of that? Because what is approachable to me? What feels comfortable? What do I feel is trustworthy? And I feel like products and labeling and marketing it's a feeling that you get. Obviously, through our words and our voices and our education, we try to help people know, like, and trust us, because we are very trustworthy. And that was our mission. We wanted to be a trustworthy and reliable CBD company. That was our goal. That's our mission right there. And so we do that through all of our branding, in the sense that we want to make you feel comfortable so that you're not afraid to explore what those products might do for you. So
Yes.
that helps.
I love that. And I have felt that. And that's why I was drawn to your company, because it didn't have that stoner vibe, or even just, there's advocacy and talking about this, but there can be a hard edge even in advocacy that is kind of off-putting. Or, if you stand for a CBD product, then you have to stand for everything and you have to go out there and march the cause. And a lot of branding and a lot of companies kind of carries that energy to it. So I was very much attracted to your business because I did see your kids in picture, or I think on, like, you have your husband in a picture with
Yeah.
you. And I was
Yeah.
like, okay. And instantly I said, so clearly they are having conversations around their dinner table and in their homes and in their communities about this product or this plant that can serve and that can help. So it piqued my curiosity, because I have kids too. I'm that normal person in society as well too.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to bring that stigma into my household. So I said, okay, they're doing it. Then there has to be a way to have this conversation or own our choices about what we do for our health and wellness that break this stigma and the mold that we've been fed for a very long time. We were kind of talking about that generationally too, of growing up with really strong messages, the DARE program, and messages against drugs, which is a good message, right? We're not sitting here advocating for drug use by any means. It actually the quite opposite of taking something that's very beneficial and using it and trying to break it out of that mold or that mindset around that. So what do you tell your children or the kids that we're helping on the farm? How do you approach?
Yeah. Well, it's so interesting. The kids don't have the questions that the adults have, right? They're just out there having a good time. They don't see this plan as, the devil. They're just like, oh, we're going to go play, so the kids really didn't ask a lot of questions, right? Obviously, it's the parents. So the parents, it's like the first thing we say, it's legal. You know me. There's nothing I would do that, I barely speed, except when I'm running late. So like I'm not going to do anything that's going to put your child into harm's way, right? Like everything we do is legal. We have license with the state. Everything's federally legal. There's nothing we're doing here. It's just misinformation that has been perpetuated through generations. And it's like the folklore, right? Now it's this, big, crazy, scary thing. And what we see now post-COVID and the mental health issues with children at a younger age is staggering. So what we started out is, I know it actually makes you want to get a little teary-eyed.
Yeah.
So when we started this industry, it was really for us, right? And then what has evolved is now for our children. Because even though, some kids maybe had a little bit of anxiety, it has skyrocketed. We take more phone calls about how do we help my 10-year-old daughter, my 12-year-old son, than I ever imagined would be possible. Like we actually went to an event that was focused on kids, it's not selling anything. It was just a kids day, a wellness kids day. And we were swamped the whole day, people asking questions. Like, the mental health for children is very, we're in a rough state right now with our kids.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because that's one of the driving forces behind everything that I do, is watching mental health as a whole. And it breaks my heart to see where we're at as a society as a whole, where our children are at, where the energy of the world is at. And if there's any a better time than now to have CBD and a way to regulate, because that's what I've always understood. And maybe you can shed some light on this too, is that CBD is a way in which to regulate your nervous system. And when our nervous system or our endocannabinoid system is out of balance or out of whack, if you will, it causes these spikes. And that spike can be a panic attack, or it can be underlying anxiety, or, so is that what's happening behind the scenes with CBD?
Yeah. So the way that I understand CBD to be working is we all have something called an endocannabinoid system. It's a giant word. When you break it down medically, you have endocannabinoid, which that word's important. We'll come back to that one again. So endocannabinoid system. Okay. So everybody that has a spine, so animals, this is why CBD products work really great for, your dogs who have anxiety and just different issues as they're aging. So anything with the spine has an endocannabinoid system. And our endocannabinoid system is really in charge of balance. It's to help keep your body in homeostasis. And homeostasis, I feel like this is a really relatable, I guess, analogy, is that homeostasis is like when your body is your temperature, right? 98.6 degrees. If you get a fever, your body temperature raises. It's not in homeostasis anymore. So your endocannabinoid system is in charge of saying, hey, something's going on. I need to send out the troops to figure out what's going on, and we need to bring you back into balance. So it's in charge in keeping you in balance. So when you're getting out of balance, it's saying, where's the problem? How do we fix it? So CBD is in cannabis, endocannabinoid. See the correlation there? Yeah. So the cannabis plant has, I think, 113 different known cannabinoids. CBD is one. one of
Mhm.
113. And if you're doing any research, you'll see that there's minor cannabinoids out there as well, like CBC, CBN, CBG.
Yes, seen that.
There's lots of different minor cannabinoids. And as the hemp industry evolves, you're going to see more and more of those products coming mainstream. And that actually goes back to plant genetics, which is, I
Mhm.
just get all excited about that stuff. When we were picking out our seeds to grow for our hemp plants, we want to pick out seeds that are high in CBD, right? We want our plants to be as most potent as possible with CBD because then that gives us the most medicine we can use in our products. Okay. So, that is like the source of where the CBD comes from. It comes from the plant. It's kind of like the MVP of the cannabis plants. Okay.
Mhm.
And so to help support the endocannabinoid system, you want to take something that's high in CBD oil. Does that make sense?
It makes
So
sense. My question is because you were explaining like the cannabinoids go out and check the system and say, okay, how can we bring you back into balance? So
yep.
is it by consuming more of the cannabinoids, you have more ability? What is your body? Is the cannabinoid what regulates
Yeah. So what happens
that?
is you have CBD, CB1 and CB2 receptors in your body. So
Okay.
when it works directly with those receptors, sometimes we make endocannabinoids normally. We make
Right.
them. But what happens is we get deficient in them, or maybe our system isn't making enough of them. And so that substitutes the cannabinoids that we make endocannabinoid, meaning in our body. So we're giving it a cannabinoid that's made in a plant, a phytocannabinoid, and we're supplementing it into our body to help support it.
Oh my gosh,
That
that
better?
makes perfect sense. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, I know.
Yes.
I
Yes.
know. It's one of
And
those things. A
and
little
that's why I was
medical
like,
terminology helps.
but I love it. And that's why I was so excited to connect with you because I'm like, yes, bring it bring on all of the because my mind works that way. I'm like, I want to know everything about this. I have a question, and it might be it's not off topic, obviously, but it's in
Yeah.
here. Does the endocannabinoids, like when you bring in CBD,
Mm-hmm.
does having that in your system from your perspective like tune out or numb out any, would you say, like emotions or feelings? And I bring this up in that stigma that the belief is like if you smoke cannabis or you consume cannabis, it's a way of disconnecting, right? Disengaging or tuning things out and kind of always feeling like you're in this euphoric state. Does that happen with CBD? Like, does it alter, make you feel more euphoric, or do you think it tunes anything out, or do you feel it opens you up more? Does that make sense?
I do. So I'm
Okay,
going to give you a really long answer. Okay.
bring it.
So it goes back to the plant. So every plant that you grow, if anybody on here is gardeners, if you've ever grown tomatoes, there's the cannabis plant. Has lots of different types. So like if there's a tomato, if you're a gardener, you know, a big boy, early girl, there's different tomatoes, Roma tomatoes. You get that one for, you want to make salsa versus, a beefsteak tomato for a BLT. So different plants for different purposes, correct?
Yeah.
So the same way I like to use analogies, because that's how my brain works. Same thing with the cannabis plant. So it's the cannabis plant. And then depending on the variety you seek, is going to give you different results. Okay.
Okay.
So like when we source our genetics, we want things that are very high in CBD. So somebody who maybe wants a different, more euphoric mind check out experience might seek out a different plant that has different genetics, meaning a different level of CBD to THC ratio to those other minor cannabinoids and different terpenes in the plant to start with. So it's a very complex answer.
Yeah.
So it really depends. You got to start with the end in mind. Like, what do I want to feel? What am I struggling with? And then kind of back it up to what is the best thing for that particular thing I'm trying to treat. So let's say if it's, I've got a lot of social anxiety. A lot of times CBD can be really great for that because CBD is like the MVP of the cannabis plant. It has a variety of things it's going to treat for. And that's why it is the number one thing you see when people are talking about the cannabis plants and the benefits of cannabis is CBD because it covers so many things, pain, anxiety, stress. It can help you feel euphoric and help you feel those different, emotions, and it can also help take away some of the negative energy that you may be feeling, you know. So I hope that helped kind of answers it. Now,
Yeah.
THC, it's a different cannabinoid in the cannabis plant. That's the one that, you know, if it's over 0.3% THC, it's not considered hemp anymore. Now it's considered marijuana, but they do all come from the cannabis plant. So for us to be legal and to grow hemp here in the United States and in Wisconsin, we have to have under 0.3% THC by volume on dry weight on our plants when we harvest them. So the state comes out, they test them, they do their thing. They say, yep, you can harvest them. You're good. We take that plant, we get that put into an oil, and then we take that oil in different concentrations and we put it into a variety of products that make up the gold leaf collection.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
so all of our plants started with the original Merlot variety that was the source of our genetics that we started with.
Did you say Merlot variety?
Merlot.
Awesome. I didn't think I'd never heard that. Okay.
Yeah. So it's actually it's a combination of cherry wine and berry blend, which are two different plants that they bred together to get a variety called Merlot. So when we actually touch and smell our hemp plant, like when it's getting towards the end, when we're going to harvest it, it has a very kind of almost like a grapey smell to it. It's got a really good fragrance. It was kind of girly, which hello, we're a girl-based
fit
company.
The theme.
So
yeah.
So it all starts with the plant, and which is so important. And that's why we really want to highlight that with our marketing and when you come to our website, we want you to know this is where this plant came from. This is the genetics that we source this from, and this is how we get our products. Now, as we grow and evolve, there'll come a point where you can't do it all yourself. Right. So we have to trust other farmers and partner with other people to help us support our growing business. But we're really excited about, you know, what our plant can do for people.
Yeah, that's incredible. And I know that I want to touch on it a little bit because like CBD, when I consume CBD oil, excuse me, it makes me really, really sleepy. Like it makes me, I will probably be sleeping within 30 minutes or yawning so much. So I'm like, okay, so I can see, I don't know why it has that effect on me, but that's the effect on it. But the Delta 8 and Delta 9, I want to highlight a little bit because I think these products are making their way to the market, and there is a lot of things being said, and there's a lot of confusion around them. And for me, I found that Delta 8 and Delta 9 were absolute game changers. They completely got rid of my chronic pain, chronic fatigue. And it really, for me, being an intuitive and being somebody that can feel and sense and see energy of everything around me, it really gave me a way to anchor fully in my own energy, as a way almost like to stay in my own space instead of going out into the world and getting sucked into the vibrations of everything around me. And it keeps me very, I want to say, like elevated. So I have very like inspired thinking. So it's very different than the CBD oil, but yet at the core, is it the same product? Is it different? Why is that different?
Yeah. So they're all from the cannabis plant, right? They're all from the same family, right? But they're different cannabinoids. So each cannabinoid is going to have different properties. And then that cannabinoid is going to interact differently with each person. So you have a unique situation where you have this energy that you can feel. And so the product is going to affect you differently than it may affect me, or it may affect my business partner. And so the Delta 8 and Delta 9 products, those are from our hemp plant that we have originally. And so they're derived from hemp, but then they are isolated down. So they're Delta 8 THC and Delta 9 THC. So they are legal to consume, but they are not CBD products, because CBD is a cannabinoid, a different cannabinoid from the cannabis plant. Does that make sense?
So they're not considered CBD products?
No, because CBD is just one of 113 cannabinoids. They're cannabinoids and they're part of the cannabis family,
right?
But they are and they come from the same plant, like literally the same plant. We held it up. But when you take it back, we have isolated that out and put it into a product, into a gummy for your purposes. And versus like the CBD gummy or the CBD oil, is that isolated CBD cannabinoid into the oil.
So is the CBD in the Delta 8 and Delta 9, or not even at all? It's not in there at all. It's a completely different, and
cannabinoid.
And
That's
it
your
is a
word.
cannabinoid, but it's just a different cannabinoid. That's what you're
Just
saying,
a different
really.
cannabinoid. Synonymous with hemp is because it's the number one highest volume, in the product. And it's kind of like the industry word for people to, oh, CBD oil. It's hemp oil. And then we isolate out the CBD. So like our hemp oil has all of the cannabinoids in it, but CBD has such a higher percentage in it that we just call it CBD oil because that's what the industry recognizes as CBD oil. Like it's technically hemp oil because it comes directly from the hemp plant.
Interesting.
Does that make sense?
I'm with you. I'm with you
Okay.
100%. I'm just like a
Okay.
sponge absorbing everything.
I know. The other analogy, and I feel like it works really well for me, but I don't know. Maybe your listeners will like this too. So we're from Wisconsin. So we love the Packers.
Yeah.
So except this year
Yeah,
they
I'm like, well, this
sorry,
year
Packers.
questionable, but
Yeah, in the past. So it's kind of like a football team, right? So if you think of the cannabis plant like a football team, there are all these different players in it, right? Some are your MVP, some are your Aaron Rodgers that everybody knows is synonymous with the plant, right? With the team.
Mhm.
And then you have your front line, you have your offensive line, and you have your wide receivers and your other star quarterbacks, your all stars, but they're maybe not as important as your MVP. So those are the other minor cannabinoids that are in the hemp plant. They're there, they're identifiable, you can see them, but they're just not as starring role. And then you have the other cannabinoids that are maybe just like, they're the kickoff team, they're there, but no one really cares about them. Or they're the turpine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're part of the team. They're all
Yeah.
there. They all
Special
make up the
teams.
plant.
Mhm.
Yeah. They all make up the same, they're all part of the plant, but they just don't get the hype that everything else does. And that's CBD in the hemp plant. That makes sense.
So, do you use your own products? What is
Yeah.
your favorite product? Like, what do you use your products for?
Yeah.
For you?
So my number one favorite product. Well, I got two probably. So my number one go-to everyday supplemental is my cucumber melon. It's our 1500 milligram CBD oil. I love it. I take it about 30 minutes before I work out in the morning. I feel like it just gives me a little extra boost. I feel like it helps me lubricate my joints, like my right knee. When I'm not taking my CBD oil consistently, I'll be like, oh my gosh, I can tell I haven't taken it in a few days.
Yeah.
I just feel like it's my superpower. I like it because that's the time of day I take it because it's part of my routine. And so that's my number one favorite product. And my other number one favorite product is our CBD relief stick. Amazing. If you don't, girl, you got it right
I'm like,
there.
I have it right here on my desk all the time.
Yes. And so I get a little bit of neck pain, so I'll rub it on my shoulder from doing too much computer work, like setting like this.
Yes.
And so, I keep it on
It
my
feels
kitchen
so
counter.
good. Yeah,
My glove
my
box.
son is addicted to the relief stick and he's addicted to the lotion. He loves, loves, loves the lotion. And I can't believe what a difference just using this for my kids has been on their wellness and health. Like you can see like they use this and it's just like the little like letdown of like, and you can just see them relaxing. It's an incredible product. And you know what else? Because it's sitting right here. You're like I don't even know if that, yeah, lip balm. I'm like, I think once I was using like a travel relief stick on my lips, but I didn't care. I'm like, this is good.
It's
But
amazing.
the lip balm is heaven. Like it's literally like just absolute heaven in my life. I know I asked you what you use, and now I'm like,
Yeah.
look what I use,
So those are the products I use a lot. Sometimes I'm in healthcare as well. So I would work overnights at the hospital and sleeping during the day can be very challenging. And so our Delta 8 products, like you said, CBD makes you sleepy. Delta 8 makes me sleepy. So I call that our drowsy formula. And so when I take it about 30 minutes before I go to bed, I start yawning and then I'm out and I have the best night's sleep of my life. I wake up in the morning feeling refreshed. It's not like you won't hear a baby crying or something like that, but it's just like you're in this deep REM sleep that is so refreshing and so good. Like when you get a good night's sleep, it can impact so many other things. And when you're not getting a good night's sleep, the wheels start to come off the wagon.
And I have to highlight that, especially for some in the community, because they're looking at their relationship with alcohol. And I bring this up because a lot of people will reach for a cocktail at the end of the night to try to help their sleep. but alcohol is just a sleep disruptor. It tends to make your sleep a little bit less. You can't get as deep into like a REM state. You're sleeping lighter and you wake up actually feeling groggy. So for the CBD, that's what I've loved about it, especially on my journey of removing alcohol, was that I know, like I said, I know I can take CBD and I will be out like a light. And to your point, I will sleep deeply. I won't not hear my phone ring if there was an emergency. I don't have kids that cry in the middle of the night, but a phone ring
Yeah.
if it's an emergency or something like that. So it's such a excellent way if people are interested to lessen alcohol use, to kind of get away from some of the effects of alcohol that don't support our wellness. Like CBD and these products, I feel really support wellness and really do help you get that deep sleep or the deep rest. And like you stated, CBD helping with joint pain and, arthritis in the body. And really, it brings so much benefit forward for the consumer versus alcohol, which can have those negative effects with it.
Yeah. And I feel like, part of that breaking that stigma is, we've become so culturally acceptable to alcohol. Like it's
Yes.
just so acceptable. Like, I'm sorry you had my 5-year-old in kindergarten today. Here's a bottle of wine.
Yeah.
Like it's just become,
I
and
know.
yet people are so scared of like, oh, what's in this relief stick? Is it going to make me high? Am I going to go to jail? Am I going to get, like, no, it is a topical product that you're going to absolutely love. Put some of that on your sores and you're going to feel amazing.
Yeah.
And so for us, it's like just educating people and helping them understand, like, you can also have a great night's sleep and you can feel better and you can be a better mom. All of the things that will support you by even just taking CBD in the morning. Like when I take my cucumber melon, I sleep really, really well at night on a normal sleep pattern. I only needed the Delta 8 when I felt like my sleep was really disrupted by working overnight. So just CBD alone is enough for me to feel like I get a great night's sleep. But, if I need a little extra help, I'll go for the Delta 8. And it just is a personal journey for everyone. And you kind of have to just test the waters, see what works for you. We do recommend people just try a little. And, if that's not enough, try a little bit more. CBD is non-addictive. You can't overdose on it either. That's the other thing. People are like, oh my gosh, am I going to, take too much? Well, if you take a whole entire jar of CBD gummies, you're going to get a terrible stomach ache. You're probably going to fall asleep and you might feel kind of awful, but you will not die,
Yeah.
and like that is like a comfort for me as a parent, like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, it's a comfort to me to know, like, and you can
Yeah.
start with a little and see how you feel, but you're not going to overdose on it
Well,
if
and
it's possible.
I got some of that too. I understand that when I said I was using CBD products or giving CBD to my kids when I first started giving it to them, you kind of get the side eye a little bit from people of like, well, wait a minute, because they associate it with cannabis or what not. But like I said, watching the difference in my boys, even with like the relief stick or CBD gummies, is incredible. And I have your dog, you guys have dog treats too.
Yeah.
And I use those for my dog. And it was funny. I have to just tell this story. I forgot to tell my husband that the treats in the closet were for my dog were CBD based. And so he was giving them more than usual through the course of the day. And my dog is naturally anxious and kind of
Okay.
restless and, that. And all of a sudden, I homeschool. So the boys and I were watching our dog and we're, God, he is sleeping so deeply lately. Like he just looks comfortable. And we're like, wow, maybe he's maturing. And then through conversation, it came to light, oh God, he's probably getting a pretty significant dose of CBD in the day. But I'm like, oh, buddy, that has to feel so good.
Oh,
I
good.
just love how your products encompass, the dog to the kids to ourselves and a multitude of different ailments that we all experience in our life. And the biggest one being anxiety. And I think if the whole world can just bring it down a little bit, just calm a little bit, it would make a different society. It would make a different relationships. And it's breaking through that stigma that exists of cannabis as a whole. I mean, the stigma exists. And so what are like two things, if there were two things you wanted people to know about CBD or your company, what
Okay.
would those be? Like two like really big points for them?
Okay, so the first one is I'm giving them permission to try it. Like you probably are telling yourself some sort of story, and I'm going to give you permission right now. It's okay, you can try it. So like don't be afraid to give it a try, because if you're suffering, if you're curious, you already have a big enough reason to be looking into it. So you just need to try. Just give it a try. And don't be afraid to adjust it as well, because just because you tried it one day and it didn't work doesn't mean it's not working on you. Consistency is really important with CBD products as well. You know, the more consistent you get, the better your body's going to respond to it as well. So just giving people permission to explore it. Just, I'm giving you permission, you know? So I think that's the big one. It's like,
Yay.
they just have to say, okay, I'm scared. I don't know what to do. You know, I'm giving you permission. It's
Yeah.
okay. You're going to be fine. Check it out. So I think that's the first one. I feel like that's the big one.
And here for your second one, why don't we phrase it this way? What would be one thing you would say to, let's say, I don't want to say like a naysayer, but your atypical person that's like, oh, these are drugs and these are bad and these are addictive and a gateway and blah. What would you say?
Well, the first thing I've learned is you're never going to change anybody's opinion.
Yeah.
So you're going to just have to educate them, show them the way, like, here's why we believe what we believe. But, you know, I usually think that through our actions, people can see, right? So if they're watching what you're doing and they're seeing, you know, if they're really curious and they want to know about it, hopefully we have built out our website, built out our blog, built out these kind of calls to help people understand that it does work. It helps people and it can help them too. I think the first word I'd probably say to the naysayer is it's legal. There's a reason our government signed it into legality. There's a reason that it's legal in like 20 states for even marijuana consumption. You know, Colorado has survived all of these years. You know, the hype was, oh no, Colorado is going to make marijuana legal and their whole society is going to fall apart. Well, they've kind of proven that they haven't actually.
Yeah.
You know, like, yeah, the proof is in the pudding, people.
Yeah.
So that maybe, I guess it depends on how head to head I want to go with someone. But I would just encourage them, just do your research.
I love that you said just do your research, because really that's the core of everything that I do and I talk about. And even when I share my own journey, I'm saying my journey is unique to me. That doesn't mean it's going to immediately translate to you. And I try to get people to understand, to take control and their power back when it comes to their health and wellness, and lean in to curiosities. And even if it's not leaning in, just immediately trying a product, to your point, lean in and do research. We all have to, I think at the end of the day, reconcile within us what feels good to us and get comfortable in that place and live from that place. And that bleeds into everything else and gives people around us freedom to do the same thing. And I thank you for taking time and connecting and educating me and everybody listening to this today, because it is so important. And truly, from the bottom of my soul, the products that you produce have made such a massive impact of healing in my life that I'm like, yay, bow down to them and just applaud you guys for the work that you are doing. So everybody that's listening to this can find out more about you at your website. Where are you most active? Are you on social platforms at all?
So we are on social media. So Facebook, because, you know, I'm in my mid 40s. They seem to really like Facebook. We are active on Instagram too, but our handle is just Lake Country Growers. You know, and our website is just lakecountrygrowers.com. You can find us, Google us. We show up on Google, you know, if you can't remember. But yeah, we're on social media handles, and we do educations. We do CBD 101s where you can get together with a group of friends. It can be virtually, it can be in person, where we just, you know, do a abbreviated version of kind of like what we did today. And then we just kind of highlight a lot of products and how do they work and what they might work for. So it's a little more depth into the products and a little less education, you know, is kind of like just a little different.
A little lasered in on the product piece. And so if somebody wanted to do that, they can just reach out to you at your website to set that up.
Yep. And it's info at Lake Country Growers. There's a spot right on the bottom. Sign up for our newsletter. We're always doing fun things. We give promotions, and we have a great blog if you're really curious about stuff. We have a lot of different blog articles out there you can go and read.
Love it. And then you have to make sure you keep me posted, because if you ever need kids to walk in the fields and do the things and volunteer or do the cleanup work or whatever it is, I am volunteering myself and my 2 children to do that because I think it's important to serve and to help, and especially to serve this mission that's doing so much goodness in the community and the greater world around. So keep us in mind.